Coming up today, the I-PACE charges faster, Ford says it's hard making EVs, and why Toyota like hybrids. All those stories and many more coming up on today's EV News Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. In fact, wherever you're listening around the world, welcome to the show. My name is Martyn Lee, Wednesday, 13th of March edition. Not long to go now until the reveal of the Tesla Model Y. I've been through all the EV stories that I can find today to save you time in one little quick burst, maybe for your morning or afternoon commute, your trip to the gym or walking the dog. You can get all the EV news you need in a short amount of time. Welcome to two new patron producers, by the way. Thank you so much. Producer Peter Roberts joined up yesterday, and today, Producer Brian R. Greenwood. Thank you both for funding this show. It's how I'm able to do this and spread the word far and wide about EVs. Of course, myev.com are spreading the word and building a marketplace for you to buy and sell EVs in the USA. myev.com. It's myev.com. Check it out. And a quick announcement, by the way. Congratulations to Jaguar's engineers for upping the speed at which their EV charges. The I-PACE can now charge faster, up to 100 kilowatts or so, maybe even slightly faster. FastNed are the charging network in the Netherlands, and they sent out a tweet today that said the Jaguar I-PACE can soon take 100 kilowatts at our stations because the stations that they have can charge up to 175. Now the car can charge faster. The required software update will be available soon at Jaguar dealers. Good job at Jaguar. And that was the tweet that FastNed sent. Shame it's not an over-the-air update, but anyway, taking it back to the dealer, get the update done. Now you can charge at 100 kilowatts. Great news! Jaguar owners delighted. If you have got chargers near you, or you access one that is charging faster, and I can already hear the Tesla fans saying, that's great. It's still less than half the speed of a Tesla Model 3 Supercharger V3, which can do about 250 kilowatts. Heck, even all the cars that are on the road right now, they're upgrading all the old Teslas to 145 kilowatt charge speeds. Anyway, happy for Jaguar, happy for their software engineers. Do you think they ever feel, I'm going to throw this out there, I don't know the answer, do you ever think they feel slightly kind of under the pressure of Tesla just keep, you can't argue in terms of the current cars on the market. They are technologically very good. So while we get the Porsche coming soon with 800-volt batteries, and we know that technology is on the way, for now, imagine working at Jaguar and you're working your socks off and you release this update and then someone goes, yeah, great, half the speed of a Tesla. And you're like, oh, come on, I've worked really hard on this. Anyway, moving on. Shell, otherwise known as a rather big oil company, much like all the other oil companies are getting into the electricity game, and you can have EVs to blame/thank for that. Royal Dutch Shell, if I'm giving them their full name, will become the world's biggest power company if this new plan over the next 15 years comes off. A move that suggests it sees climate change as perhaps a bigger threat to its business than the otherwise weak returns provided by electricity. Says a Bloomberg report today, the world's number 2 oil explorer by market value is spending up to $2 billion a year on its new energies division, mainly to grow in the power sector, and they want to see it delivering up to 12% annual returns, according to Martyn Wetzler. He is the Shell Integrated Director of New Energies. He said that Shell's acquisitions in power so far have included things like the UK power company First Utility, the car charging network New Motion in the US, the solar company Silicon Ranch Corporation, and they've announced they're bidding for a Dutch company as well called ANNO. They provide low carbon power to industrial users and offers apps and technology to manage electricity consumption on a industrial level. So it's really interesting to see all of this happening is thanks to electric cars. That's the part they play in this shift where the world's biggest oil companies want to become electricity companies. Meanwhile, the electricity companies are rubbing their hands together because they're either going to get bought by that big oil money or they're going to become bigger than oil companies, and they're going to be the new economic rock stars of the next 100 years. Whoever owns and controls that electricity supply rather than oil is they're in for a big old payday, and the battle is on. Okay, let's move on to an automaker that's certainly been around a very long time, and that'll be Ford. And there is no glee in my voice when I read out this quote from Bill Ford, the chairman of Ford Motor Company, the great-grandson of Henry Ford. And he's spoken about the potential for a partnership with Volkswagen. We know that's not new news. We know that the Volkswagen and Ford are sharing resources now. Ford behind others on their EV development. VW have the MEB platform. I think it's an open secret. Ford will use that platform and put their own bodies on top of it and license the technology from VW. Good income stream for Volkswagen. Stephen Loveday for Inside EVs today says that Ford says that both automakers have a full realization of the difficulties now ahead of them in moving to EV. And this is... Okay, whether you have a wry smile on your face when I read you this next quote or whether you raise a glass to Bill Ford. Let me read you this, and then you can make your mind up at the end of it what you think of it. Bill Ford told Bloomberg, and I quote, "We fit together geographically really well. The product line-wise fits together well. We both came to the same realization that as big as our balance sheets are, no company can do this alone." I'll repeat the quote. No company can do this alone. I'd like Ford to be around another 100 years, and if that's going to happen, it's clear that we really have to branch off into new directions to try and solve these problems. It's hard. It's hard because our current business model is providing all of the earnings and cash flow that fund the change. So we have to do both really well. And if we don't make great cars and trucks today that people want, then guess what? There is no tomorrow. End quote. That's what Bill Ford said in 2009. That's a lie. He said it now. We were all saying it 10 years ago. The job of the big automakers as we move to electrify, it's happening. Whether it's tomorrow or in 10 years, it's happening. The job is to somehow navigate the most impossible thing. Take a big business that's invested deeply in fossil fuels, in factories, in powertrains, in people and in resources and in unions, and try somehow and become electric car makers. The impossible task, but we've been saying it for years. I've been doing this podcast for over a year. I've been tweeting about EVs for much longer and interested in the space for a very long time. I'm no expert, but we've all been saying it. And now Bill Ford, the chairman of Ford Motor Company, says, let me pull that quote for you. No company can do this alone. There are 40,000 plus people at a certain company in Fremont, California, beginning with T, that would agree. It's hard to do it alone, but you can. No company can do this alone. Please. Anyway, Bill, welcome. Welcome to the noughties. It's great. Got the internet, got MP3s, there's Napster. It's great. There's a thing called the Facebook coming. YouTube's going to be big, you know. Goodness me, Bill, where have you been for the last 20 years? Holy moly. Moving on. Let's talk about James Bond. A license to fill at his nearest charge point is the pun that I was going with. To celebrate the next Bond film, Ian Fleming's hero is going to make a concession to the planet. He is going to be driving an electric car in the next James Bond movie. An electric Aston Martin, albeit one which retails for about $250,000, says the UK newspaper The Guardian today. The film has a working title of Shatterhand. Oh dear, that's not a good title for a Bond film. Not when you say it out loud. When you say shat out loud, Shatterhand. It just doesn't. I mean, I get it, like glass shatters. I don't like the images conjuring up. Recently, Daniel Craig's 007. It was confirmed he was going to play James Bond for one more time. Maybe it'll be his last. He's going to be behind the wheel of an Aston Martin, but this time it'll be the Rapide E, the all-electric. Only 155 of them they're going to be making. And he's going to be driving an EV in James Bond. Like I told you, look, even the world's most famous spy wants to drive an EV. Someone tell Bill Ford, quick. The franchise, of course, has a long history with Aston Martin. You go back to 1964 with Sean Connery driving that DB5 in Goldfinger. Now, there's a name. Goldfinger, there's a name. There's a name of a book and a film that James Bond is in. If it was Brownfinger, no, very bad. Goldfinger, very good. I'm sure Shatterhand will be changed. Let's move on to a retweet that I saw Elon Musk send out today, or do. He did a retweet of an Inside EVs article, and they were talking about the cost of electricity versus gas, and the YouTube channel Engineering Explained with his new Tesla Model 3, second one he's got, actually, chopped in the first one, got another one. He's been looking at the price that he's paying for electricity and gas, the savings he's making. Check out the Inside EVs article that Stephen Loveday wrote today. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to have a look. By the way, show notes are available in all the podcast platforms and on my blog, evnewsdaily.com. And it's a nice, easy equation that they've done on the YouTube channel. You can run the comparisons yourself, local gas price, local lecky, and see how much you're going to be saving. I mentioned New Motion earlier in the show. Let's have a look at them right now. The first in the industry, they say to have reached more than 100,000 charge points in a roaming network here in Europe. The company works together with 200 roaming partners to build their network out. So there aren't so many New Motion chargers, but they do hook up with other network providers. So you can use other networks that aren't New Motion, but with your New Motion fob. Now, I've got one of those fobs in the glove box of my electric car, and I've used it plenty. I've always seemed to use it at free ones, though, so I've still never had a bill from them. However, more than 170,000 New Motion key fobs, charge card holders, if you like, have now been registered and are enjoying the benefits of a roaming network. So go where you want, one charge card, and it's that seamless billing, which they say is really taking off. Right, 3 more stories today. Now we can squeeze in 4 more. Here in the UK, the motorway network is going to be increased with 50 new electric car fast chargers. The organisation called Highways England is a government-run company, £3 million deal with the likes of BP Chargemaster and Swarco. They're going to be adding those new chargers in, if not on the motorway, then very near the motorway network, the freeway network, if you like, to ensure that almost 100% of that kind of main arterial network that runs all around the country is within 20 miles of a fast charger. What I couldn't find for love nor money, and goodness knows I looked in this story, the kind of chargers they were putting in, because we know there's plenty of 50 kilowatt chargers around in this country, at least. We know Electrify America in the US are putting in some 350 kilowatt chargers, some quickies. But what ones are these? I know BP Chargemaster have been working on. I need to make sure I don't say too much. I think it's been announced. I forget what I should and shouldn't know sometimes. They have been working on some very, very fast chargers. And I know they're very proud of that technology, and they'll be rolled out this year, is I think probably what I'm allowed to say if I've missed a public announcement. Moving on to the World Car of the Year Awards. Yes, announced in Geneva. The top 4 finalists of the World Car of the Year have been announced at the Geneva Motor Show, where the Jaguar I-PACE grabbed the European Car of the Year award, an electric car winning that. Well done, Jaguar. 86 auto journalists voted, selecting their top 3 in the world, followed by a secret ballot based on their evaluation. The World Car of the Year could either be the Audi e-tron or the Jaguar I-PACE when we're talking electric cars that have been nominated. And I'm sure plenty of people will be arguing for their favourite brand, going, hang on, the e-tron's not for sale. They keep delaying it. If you're going to put a car in there that isn't on sale yet, where's the Mercedes EQC? That's a fine car. And Tesla fans once again will go, brilliant, snubbed by auto journalists. It's funny how often these things happen, by the way, these kind of Car of the Year awards. Very often you'll see Tesla not in the lists, and you have to wonder why. Okay, 2 more stories, and first of all, Porsche investing big bucks. Mark Kane at Inside EVs is tearing through the press releases that are pouring out of the VW group, and Porsche have announced 600 million euros of investment. That's about 678 million US dollars in their Leipzig factory in Germany. The facility is going to get a new body shop, and it's going to be bigger, and it's going to be able to produce cars on the same line with various powertrains. Porsche says the expansion gives Porsche the option to produce full EVs on the existing line alongside gas cars in the future. The first car to benefit from extended factory premises will be the next gen Macan, a purely electrically powered car based on their new platform. The new Macan will roll off the assembly line at the beginning of 2020, and that's interesting because other bits of the VW group are saying the only way to do it is with a platform that is purely EVs. VW have said with the VW ID, they're only going to make the ID. It is a ground-up electric platform, and they're only going to make those in the factories. Yet Porsche, part of the company, but obviously making far fewer cars, can't have a factory just for their EVs, so they've got a production line that can handle multiple options. Toyota, the biggest car company in the world, not making electric cars on scale. There are 12 car companies selling an all-electric car in the United States, and Toyota isn't one of them. Despite admitting recently, they publicly admitted the Tesla Model 3 is responsible for half of Toyota's hybrid customer defections in North America. Prius drivers are transitioning to all-electric. The company has been very outspoken in the race to electrification, and they're saying that hybrid is the future, according to the website called D-Smog. Now, last week at the Geneva Auto Show, there was a Toyota executive, and he provided a curious explanation for the company's total refusal to launch pure EVs. And look, the Prius Prime is a great car. I'd love them to sell the Prius Prime plug-in here in the UK. But anyway, in terms of full battery electric vehicles, Toyota are so far behind everyone else. Car and Driver reported this one. Toyota claims that it's limited. It's limited because of batteries, and specifically battery production capacity. And here is the quote. Toyota is able to produce enough batteries for 28,000 electric vehicles a year, or 1.5 million hybrid cars a year. End quote. In other words, because Toyota has neglected to invest in battery production, has decided not to, has made a business decision, we're not going to do it for whatever reason, or maybe they tried it and it didn't work. We don't know Toyota's thinking. At the moment, they can only produce enough. They've only got contracts, they're only producing. I'm not sure whether it's external, whether they're making their own. But that quote from Geneva says they have enough battery capacity for either, well, less than 30,000 EVs a year or 1.5 million hybrids. And when you're a company as big as Toyota and the scale they work on, you can't be making 30,000 of this and 30,000 of that. You make them in the millions. And that could explain why they're pushing their so-called self-charging hybrids, the cars that don't have plugs, that you have to put fossils inside them to move forwards or backwards, but they will insist that they are self-charging because they've got regen. Bless. Now everyone sees through it. No one's being fooled by it. It's the most insane thing, and long term it's going to bite them on the bum, but you think, well, maybe that's the answer. Maybe 10 years ago they weren't doing the battery deals that the likes of Tesla were building gigafactories. Who knows, but we'll keep an eye on it, and it's a story that I'm really fascinated by because, Toyota have got some of the world's best brains working for them. You and I just can't work out what the heck's going on. Why are they so far behind? Because the world's going to move to electric cars, and they are belligerently saying, no, the answer is hybrid. And then really, when you really push Toyota, they'll go, no, we believe in a whole host of fuel cells, hybrids, full electrics. We are going to produce all of them. But they're not now. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. Moving on to the community section of the podcast. Thank you for your questions. Answers to question of the week, which is this, set by myev.com. What slogan, motto, or catchphrase would you have printed on a t-shirt and wear yourself that shows your support and says something about EVs? Please email me, hello@evnewsdaily.com. You can leave a comment in the comment section of Facebook and YouTube and myev.com as well. Rightio. Thank you to the 201 patrons of this podcast. You do keep me going. We spread the word about EVs far and wide, and more people are listening all the time. In the meantime, there are 413 shows online to download for free on all your usual podcast channels. SoundCloud is on there. YouTube audio is on there. Obviously, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. I've got a blog. It's on Patreon. What have I forgotten? If I'm not on a platform that I should be, let me know. If you want to subscribe for new ones, you haven't got to think about downloading them then. Just hit subscribe, you get them automatically, and you get them first, and you get them free. And if you want to catch up on the socials in the meantime, search the phrase EV News Daily. I should come top if you search for that. In the meantime, do have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow for some Model Y chat, and remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.